A classic French dessert. Napoleon bars contain layers of flaky puff pastries sandwiching custard and cream.
We don't know how many layers, but they come by the thousands. That's why they're also called mille feuilles, which translates to 1,000 layers. The name Napoleon refers to the Italian province of Naples, not the famous French ruler. France de Lis manufactures the dessert and has a French connection.
When I grew up, my parents came here in Canada. We're from France originally, so they came here with 2 kids and 2 suitcases.
Layers 1 to 1,000 are built in Montreal, Quebec.
So to start things off, shortening is added to a mixer. It's followed by water and flour. The mixer runs for 6 minutes.
A work surface is dusted, and the mixer slowly dumps its payload. Here, the dough is portioned into pieces, then punched down.
The dough has to be compact to fit into a sheeter, which is like a mechanical rolling pin. The Napoleon dough marches back and forth, getting thinner and thinner.
To jack up the layers, a brick of shortening is sliced into pieces and sandwiched into the dough. The dough is sheeted again. The shortening flattens into a filling, and as the process is repeated, the layers multiply. This would be a neat trick with dollar bills.
Yeah. The books of dough, packing thousands of layers, are left to rest. The next day, they're pulled out, sheeted, and rolled onto a pin. The pin is transferred to a portioning line.
The dough is slowly rolled and punctured. The holes allow air to circulate through the pastry. Otherwise, it could overflake and fall apart too easily. The dough is cut into squares and placed onto pans.
The pans are transferred to the ovens to bake at 170 degrees Celsius for 40 minutes.
While the layers puff, the filling is prepared, and there are 2 separate creamy complements.
First, the whipping cream. Cream with 35% fat is whipped into a frenzy with sugar. Whipped topping is prepared in another mixer and added to the cream.
The second filling is custard. Custard mix is blended with water. Custard is normally made from egg yolks and sugar and was a popular dessert in the medieval era. Some of the whipped cream is introduced to the custard. Both toppings are chilled overnight.
Out of the ovens, the pastry sheets are brought to a mounting area. The sheets are trimmed and are also left to cool.
After a day's rest, it's back to the mounting area to start stacking layers.
A layer of custard is the 1,001st layer on the pastry. Then comes another layer of pastry. A layer of whipped cream ups the ante on this sweet sheet. And a third piece of pastry seals the deal.
So that's 3,002 layers by my count.
Uh-huh.
All that's missing on these Napoleons is a sugary topping. Bricks of fondant, a common substitution for icing, are melted down. Fondant is French for melting. It's smoother, so it's easier to handle than icing.
The fondant is poured over each Napoleon stack and spread out with a spatula.
We take pride on doing a lot of things still on the hand. It is very important that the pastry chefs get the feeling of applying the fondant.
And for a decorative flourish, chocolate lines are drawn over the fondant.
Pegs are dragged through the lines, creating a familiar pattern. The decorated squares are put up into the freezer so the coating will firm up.
And the Napoleons are finished. They're sent to a portioning machine and are sliced by an ultrasonic cutter. The cutter vibrates, which helps it slice through frozen pastry with ease. The Napoleon sheets are cut into little soldiers. Portioned pieces are placed onto a rack.
Then it's back to the fridge. Too much time away leads to melty Napoleons. Cold again, they're loaded onto a packaging line. 2 at a time, the squares are packed into clamshell containers.
The containers are labeled, then packed into boxes which are sealed and kept cold while awaiting delivery. These Napoleons may not be named after the famous French ruler, but they're sure to take command of any dessert table.